Hello, everybody. It's Vertical Sandwich. Welcome back to Book Reviews. So, I said that what we were going to be doing was we were going to be doing like a best, a best list for Hugo Award winners, and so I've got it kind of narrowed down, and I've actually made some last minute changes. So let's just go into it. These are I had to. It's rough because there are some books that I think that are amazing technical creations that I didn't like the Mars series. I didn't like the Mars series personally. They were horrible reads for me, but I can recognize they're really good books that are put together well and constructed well, which is horrible because I put one on the worst list, but it belonged there. I firmly believe it belonged there because that one just takes it too far. It's just too much. And then there are books I really liked that probably shouldn't be. Like, I really liked Dream Snake. Is it one of the 5 best books in the? It's not. It's good. It's a great, enjoyable read. So, like, I have some struggles even with this top list. So, let's just talk about like, So we're going to go in order of year. My first one is 1961's A Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter Miller Jr. And the reason is because A Canticle for Leibowitz is light years ahead of its time. It's light years ahead of its time. That book was written 5 years before Dune. And it reads, it hasn't aged. It reads, it's timeless. It's amazing. But the thing about it is that it's an enjoyable and fun read. It does, it's really great in being divided into 3 sections, each being a distinct story that are somehow related, and so it really, like I said, it jumps light years ahead of the competition. It just reads like what science fiction is going to read like all the way through the 60s and into the 70s and even into the 80s. And again, it's just a great set of stories. It's just engaging, and its concept is fantastic. That in a post-apocalyptic, on a post-apocalyptic Earth, people worship this guy, and he's just a guy. He's just like he was an engineer, and so they do things like treat electrical schematic diagrams he did as like holy items. And then the entire movement towards, getting through another dark age and kind of religions that form. It's fantastic. It's so fantastic. It's an enjoyable read. I think it's one of those things that when you start talking about it, you start thinking about how foundational it is, right? How much everything that comes after it owes to Canticle for Leibowitz, and how just out there it is when it's written so close to things like kind of things like The Big Time, or and you just Canticle for Leibowitz is my first book on there. I think it's a great read. I picked it up once and started it and went, I can't read this. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. And I was super wrong. It was one of the last books I read for the Hugo Awards, and I shouldn't have put it off because it belongs on this list. It does. There are a lot of books that belong on this list, but I chose 5, and with an honorable mention. So, 1967's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Heinlein. Heinlein is the most awarded Hugo author that had nothing to do with anything. The thing about The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is Heinlein does some stuff all the time. Some things he does better than others. I think his worst Hugo Award winner is probably Starship Troopers. I think his best Hugo Award winner is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. But aside from that, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress does everything that Heinlein does really well. It introduces interesting political systems and societal changes on in a foreign society. It deals with those and their repercussions. But it does it with really enjoyable characters and really exciting events. So it ends up being a really great read. Like, you really like it, you really like the characters, you really like what they're doing, you really want to see how things turn out. Like, the fact that the society that he's dealing with is like, kind of like, I don't know, are they like libertarian polygamists or something? Are they socialists? I don't even remember. But like that stuff has nothing to do with anything. It's delightful because that's the kind of thing, that's going to happen when societies separate. But also the idea of a revolution by the moon against the Earth is just it's so good. And then the characters they're just great. They're just great. They're just absolutely great. Everything about that novel, it was the second Heinlein novel I read, and it's a breeze. You just want to read it, you want to finish it, you enjoy it the whole time, and that's huge for Heinlein because you don't feel that way about Starship Troopers. When you read Starship Troopers, you probably don't enjoy every aspect of it. Some of it's really cool. Some of it feels pretty labored. But yeah, so The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is an easy, good read by a science fiction master, and yeah, belongs on this list. I know my nose is going in and out of the light, and that's weird. So, okay, 1968's Lord of Light by Zelazny. One of the most amazing science fiction concepts I've ever encountered, and executed in an absolutely monumentally ahead of its time way. It did everything. It did everything you would want a novel to do. It introduced characters. It gave you a good guy side, a bad guy side, and then it just went with it. It just went with it, and in very surprising ways. Sometimes it was laugh out loud funny. Sometimes it was deadly serious, and it's a surprising novel. It legitimately, starting Hugo Award winners, it was the second one I reviewed, and I read it cold. I just pulled it off the list and I read it, and it was mind blowing. It was earth shattering. Zelazny is so good at concepts beyond normal science fiction, like taking an entire religion and overlaying it onto science fiction is amazing. And Zelazny is just a master of it. He just does it so well. It's so perfect. It's so good. And it's a great read, and it's an easy read. Is it an easy read? No. But it's an enjoyable read. And that's a huge thing, right? It doesn't matter if you have to, it doesn't matter how brilliant a book is if you hate every minute of touching it, right? But Lord of Light is he just takes an amazing science fiction concept, and you can ruin a great science fiction concept. See The Big Time, right? Amazing science fiction concept, completely ruined. And he perfects it. He perfects it. It's believable and intriguing, and the stakes are amazing. It's just everything about it is so good. It's so good. So, yeah. So, and it's also the most popular review I've done. It's the most commented on. It's the people just come there and go I can read this book over and over. I've been reading it for 40 years. It is amazing. And it is. It is. Zelazny has a Stanislav Lem-like mind, where the boundaries of science fiction mean nothing to him. And that's amazingly refreshing. And Lord of Light has not aged today. You can read it today, and it reads like a contemporary novel. A good contemporary novel. No, a great contemporary novel. Lord of Light is... If it's hard for me to say this, but I actually think that, I would suggest you read every novel I talk about in this video, but if you had to pick one, I think you should pick Lord of Light. I really love that novel. I really loved it. It was so good. It was so good. And, not that other things are... I really would want you to read the other things I talk about in here, right? And I think you should read other things that won Hugo Awards. I don't think that you should... I don't think you should read any of my worst list ones, but I definitely think that you should read, The Gods Themselves, or Fountains of Paradise. I absolutely think you should read those. And they're not on this list, but they could be. They easily could be. There are a lot of books, Dune's not on this list, but it could be. Number 4. From 2011, Blackout All Clear by Connie Willis. You could put Doomsday Book in the place of this. They are both fantastic time travel novels. And the thing about Blackout All Clear is that it's like a magnum opus, right? It's something that somebody spent so much time painstakingly researching to put you in London in the Blitz during World War II, that it's just amazing. It's just so amazing. The characters are unbelievable. The ending is like knock you off your feet. I read the ending like 3 times to make sure that I understood how awesome it was, and it is. It's amazingly awesome. Do I think you should read Doomsday Book? I do. I think you should read Doomsday Book, and then I think you should read Blackout All Clear. Everything Connie Willis wrote is amazing. But Blackout All Clear is both amazing and detailed, and a beautiful read that pulls you in. It's all of those things, but then it's also this incredible labor of love kind of masterwork. And, it's on a scale larger than anything Connie Willis did. Is it more impressive than Doomsday Book? It is, because it's bigger and more detailed. Is it a better book than Doomsday Book? No, they both are just these tour de forces that just pull you through everything that happens, that are impossible to put down. And she's a master of suspense, like putting you places where people are absolutely at risk, and like you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time you're reading. Like the Oxford Time Travel books are worth a read anyway. But Blackout All Clear is such a singularly amazing piece of creative work that it just plows its way onto this list. It just goes like nobody else is going to write something that's like pinpoint accurate about kind of a historical event in such a loving way, while putting in the middle of it an amazing cast of characters that you genuinely care about that are going through this just unbelievable stuff. It's an absolute page turner. It's just, like I said, it's edge of your seat page turner. And amazing. It's just amazing. Like the Connie Willis stuff is so good. And the problem with that is that her research and her work is so meticulous that she's not very prolific. So it's not like you can go and buy 50 Connie Willis novels. She's not Isaac Asimov, which is kind of a shame. But the stuff she wrote, just do it. Just Blackout All Clear, Doomsday Book. Read Doomsday Book. If you don't like Doomsday Book, there's no hope for Blackout All Clear for you. But I was absolutely bowled over by how good it was. Absolutely. It was just fantastic. Just amazing. And then, okay, so the last entry in this list of 5 is a surprise entry, as is the honorable mention. I don't think people probably expected this. But the 5th season, 2016, by N.K. Jemisin. It's like an amazing fantasy science fiction concept action movie. It's so easy to read. It's so good. You enjoy it so much, and she's so great at writing behind the scenes. Like, she's so great at telling you what's happening, and you just being so into what's happening, and then you think about it, and you just go, oh man, she's telling me so much about us. Like, there's so much of us in there. But the thing is, like, go back to my review of that and read the section that I read out loud. That's the pace of the entire book. Like, where it seriously reads. It has the pacing of an action movie, where it's just like downtime, mind-blowing everything, and then like downtime, mind-blowing everything. It's so good. That trilogy is unbelievable through and through. But the first book is the kind of thing where you have to stand up while you're reading it, because you're just like, oh, I'm getting a little dizzy sitting down and reading that. Like, it just takes you to amazing. It's just so, all these books are so good, and like you should go through and like watch Vertical Sandwich's body language in reviews. And if I'm doing this and going like, oh, it's so good, like, just read that book, because there's something like 15 Hugo Award winners that are just bowl you over amazing. But N.K. Jemisin's 5th season is the first book of a trilogy, and the trilogy is the trilogy in itself is great, but like the first book is such a tour de force. Like, that's just the only term for it. It's just a tour de force. It's a force of nature that just like grabs you and shakes you until it's done with you and goes like, there, did you enjoy your story? And like I said, there's a message, right? There's a message behind that entire trilogy. And you know, and I think it's an important one. I think it's an incredibly important one, and I think it's very timely. And I think it's a message that we need today, right? Like today. But I think you should read the books to get that message. And they are amazing. They're absolutely, totally amazing. So that's my 5 top. And let's talk about our honorable mention, which I actually really debated what should go on here. Like the gods themselves, I'm a big fan of. Fountains of Paradise, I'm a huge fan of. There are books that obviously could have. We're only talking about Hugo Award winners, so like I could put, you know, there are other like I think Children of the Mind, is that the weird, like, is that the Arthur C. Clarke one that was before the Hugo Awards? That's like a legendary, forward-thinking kind of. It could be. But 1977, Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang, by Kate Wilhelm. And the reason is because out of every Hugo Award winner book, out of all of them that I wrote, or that I read, I didn't write any of them. Out of all of them that I read, this one was the most beautiful. Like, you pick it up and you read it, and it's just beautiful. It's soft, and it's gorgeous, and it's like reading a piece of, you know, it's like reading a love letter to science fiction. It's just so, everything about it runs so smoothly, and you know, it's got a very like poetic kind of literature kind of style to it, and then also happens to be an amazing piece of science fiction. Like, it's just an amazing work of science fiction. It's in some ways it's traditional, in some ways it's very forward thinking. It's just, but then it also is this kind of masterclass in how to, you know, if anybody ever accuses science fiction of not being literature, the thing you hand them is Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang. And just go like, you read this and you tell me that this is somehow less of a novel than, you know, Tender as the Night or something. It's unbelievable that way. And again, it's a great story. It's super readable. It's exciting. It has, you know, a lot going on. Like, it's just great. It's just so good. Yeah, and very sci-fi, but at the same time, like I said, it reads like a work of lit. It reads like what it's trying to do, and it is trying to do all the things that a piece of literature would do. Because it is a piece of literature, right? Science fiction is in fact literature. But yes, so Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang is, I think, the most hauntingly kind of poetically beautiful piece of mischief that I have on this list, or that was on the Hugo Award list. And I think it's worth a read for that, to see exactly where things like this, you know, that there is this kind of softer side of science fiction, that it's not all about, you know, the concept. And the concepts and stuff in Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang are amazing. But you know, that it's not, it doesn't have to be concept driven. It can be like stories about people who, you know, with these concepts as the background. And yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful novel. It's a beautiful novel, and it is the only novel on the list that stylistically kind of shocked me because of the way it was written. Maybe Stand on Zanzibar, but yeah, and it's shocking because of how, like I said, how soft and flowing, and just like the beautiful descriptions of things going on. It reads like what you're reading is some sort of novel about like coming of age or something, but and in a way you kind of are. But it happens to be about clones and the psychosis of like a clone society and stuff. Like, so good. So those are it. That's it. So the list was Canticle for Leibowitz, Lord of Light, The Mood is a Harsh Mistress, Blackout, All Clear, The Fifth Season, Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang. So when we come back next week, we'll be doing other things. There are some candidates. I've got some books. I have finished another Zelazny book, we might be doing that. Although no guarantees. We might be doing the Moat in God's Eye. We haven't talked about that. And we probably should. So, yeah, I'll see you guys for that, and thanks for watching. See you for a review next week. Bye, everybody.